Hi, everybody. This is immigration lawyer John Kasravi. We're doing a service provider episode of the Immigration Lawyers podcast. This is one I'm really looking forward to. This is a good friend of mine, Joseph Tsang, that we've known each other for many years, both in Southern California. And his office has just grown so big and so established and has so many good systems that not only does he practice law on his own, or his firm does, getting cases, but he also provides a lot of support for other immigration law firms, international support. It's mind-blowing what he's created. So we're going to go into that, but I guess to start, Joseph, can you tell us more about yourself and how you became an immigration attorney?
Okay, wonderful. John, thanks for having me. My dad started the firm 30 plus years ago, and then he started a firm in Shanghai and in Taiwan. And since I graduated from Pepperdine Law School, really took it on as my own and kind of changed it up. Before, a long time ago, we were just an agency, right? We were just a back office to many other firms. Other firms would do the L1 or do a complicated H1B, and they need an H1B support or they need a filing support. I mean, in some ways, back in the day, we were sort of like a more comprehensive FedEx for immigration providers, right? And so that was back in the day. From what I've heard, to file something, you might have to go to downtown LA to wait in line and file it physically in person.
Yeah,
so that was
going.
yeah.
They didn't have forms online. They had to go there, pick up forms in the morning if you could get some. It's a crazy system there. Yeah.
Right. So there needed to be a lot of ground support, and a lot of immigration offices overseas didn't have that ground support in LA. So we were really like the back office. That was like 30 plus years ago. Since the internet boomed, we were able to get a lot of clients directly. And so over the past 10 years, our firm has drastically shifted from being a back office outsourcing provider to big law firms to now being able to directly face clients and do that ourselves. And in the past 2-3 years, we had a big internal discussion. Well, what should we do? Should we just cancel this outsourcing of counsel service that we provide? Because it is definitely the least profitable, and it is definitely one of the most time consuming or compared to all the cases that we're doing. And it's just trickling down and down. What should we do, right? And after a lot of debate, there's two sides to it. I'm of the opinion that we should really keep it because we really value the relationships that we built with all these firms over the years. And also we've learned so much. We've grown from this. This is like our root. So it's important enough to keep it. Now, obviously the other side is saying, but it's not as profitable. Why should we do it? Devote our resources. And so the compromise is really, let's limit it down to like 10 to 15% of our monthly casework, but we still keep it and just kind of maintain a good relationship. I mean, we love doing this because we've learned so many complicated cases and fought like impossible battles. And this is how we want it. We did it with other lawyers. We did it with different agencies, and we've won these success stories. And that helped us with all of our normal practice as well. And we built up some really lifelong friendships with attorneys, immigration attorneys from all over the world. So this is just so precious that it's worth keeping. And that's why we're doing this, right? We're offering to all the viewers on Immigration Toolbox.
Well, you are a sponsor of the most recent issue, number 3, that came out of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine. You're also a contributor of a really good article about a nuanced aspect. We're going to do a separate interview about that, about O1s and being the petitioner yourself, all that kind of stuff. But going back to the service your company provides, what exactly is it? Who are the people? What kinds of people contact you, and what do you do for them exactly? Could you give us more information on that?
Yeah, so it mainly falls into 4 categories, right? You can imagine a lot of large firms, when they have a big overflow, let's say they have a whole bunch of H1Bs that they need to just pump out, that they just don't have enough people to do. Or let's say there's a few complicated RFEs, whether it's an L1 RFE, EB1A RFE, or a complicated family matter RFE that they just don't have the resource to handle, and the clients is getting really upset. Like, you got an RFE and it's already been a month and you haven't even told me about it. There's no strategy, there's no meeting. Overflow, right? So that's the simple answer. Then there's the other side. There's solo practitioners that's venturing out into doing an EB2 or EB3 perm case for the very first time, or they got an L1 blanket. They've done L1 before, but now they have to do 10 L1s simultaneously. How do they go about doing that, right? And so solo practitioners or smaller firms that's going into an area that they don't know how to do, we jump in as of counsel to kind of help them out. And then there's other firms simply as a mailing service, right? As like a comprehensive FedEx mailing, because let's say, let me give you an example of one we just did. L1 filing, it's about 800 pages, but do you know how many we have to do? The 800 pages that we have to put together, not just the brief, not just the forms, not just the wet signatures, all the exhibits, but we have to make 2 copies, right? Because you're filing in the US and then the other copy goes to the consulate. But it's not just 2. The law office wants a copy, physical file, so we do a third one. The employer wants a copy, physical file to put on on doc, and the beneficiary wants one overseas. So we are making 4 copies, like about 800 pages each. It's a full day worth of work, right? And dedicated printer just to do that. A lot of law firms just don't want to deal with this, especially this past year with the priorities changing, right? A whole bunch of people, emergency 45, I need to file this within 3 weeks, a whole family of 5. During COVID, when a lot of things were shut down, how can you pump out a 45 within 3 weeks for all of your clients because of the priority date change? There's an overflow. And so we were able to jump into with the law firms that already have a relationship with us, and we were able to pump out all of those 45. So sometimes it's like just mailing package, something as simple as a 829 mailing package that's like 1,000 pages and you need to make 4 or 5 copies. The law office just doesn't want to do that. Or if they do that, there will be a liability because they might not do it until 2 months later, but they needs to be done right now. So there's case overflow, there's trying to do a case for the very first time, there's simple as mailing, or just a strategy session, right? Maybe you've already done these L1s over and over again, but this L1 RFE seems to be somewhat complicated. You never dealt with this particular issue before, and you want somebody to kind of give you a checklist and a guidance. Or maybe it's your first time doing a business plan for this type of industry, right? And you just don't know how to do it. So we kind of jump in and give the strategy session, and it's just a consultation between a lawyer and a lawyer.
Well,
so
what's interesting is the education component, where if someone's not done a perm, for example, and you can walk them through it, because it probably more than half the practice area has not done something and they're afraid or scared to go. It's one thing I've seen in immigration law. You can study a kind of case forever and know exactly what to do, but there's this massive hesitation internally unless someone is there to hold your hand and take you there. And you're like, I knew all this stuff, but I just need someone to confirm it. And having that kind of service is really a game changer, because it's hard finding someone who's going to put yourself out there. I mean, you have mentors you'll contact, and they can't look over the whole case. They'll just give you ideas here and there. But it's just a business where you're like, I'm here, you pay for the service, but I'm going to sit there and teach you how to do it. And I think that's a reinvestment in yourself, because once you do it once or maybe twice, then you have a whole extra business dimension that you could do. It could change your law firm. So that's incredible that you're doing that service.
Yeah, and it's so helpful because over the years, we've mentored and built up so many agencies and law firms over the years, taught them how to do complicated E2s, how to completely do an L1 blanket, and how to do an O1 self-petition. And then once we teach it and we share with them all the different strategies, and then they are able to take on more and more clients, and then they're going to face more and more issues, more complicated issues, and then they come back to us, and it becomes a very good partnership. And really, the truth is, every single firm and every single practitioner, they have their own clientele, their own market that not other people just can't touch, right?
Yeah.
The people they're going to go to them, they're not going to go to us or anybody else. And so it's most important to empower everyone on the ground all around the world, in Russia, in Singapore, in Japan, and teach them what you know. And so that when they becomes well established, then they have more of a need for you.
Now, in our previous discussions privately, I mentioned that not only do you do back house where like the lawyer will come in and talk with you, but sometimes the lawyer just says, I want you to come up front and let them know we're working. And you guys actually have staff that directly deals with the client. Is that still a service?
Yes. And the most important thing about this is we do it on their law firm's behalf. So we use the company email address that their firm provides, right? And so that way, all the client communication is still within that law firm. And the lawyer is CC'd on everything and they oversee everything. Most of the time, the people who choose this, either they've done it a million times, they just want to make sure that you're doing it correctly because it's a highly complex or a very difficult client that has a lot of different issues. And so you just need that customer service, a quick, within half an hour response to their big emails every single day. Well, their paralegal can't do that. Their own attorneys don't have enough time to deal with that. So they kind of just offload it to us. So we don't do it with our own firm's email account unless it's a pure referral. The law firm says, no, we don't even want this client anymore. We just transfer it over to you. Sorry, we don't practice in this area. We don't even want the liability. This firm knows how to do a 601 waiver really well. Please go and talk to them. Then we obviously take over, and it will be our malpractice on the line with everything, right?
That's amazing. It's such a big thing to take on. It's kind of scary because like it's a little overwhelming. I'm sure you have a staff. I know I've seen your crew. We wanted to talk at a Pepperdine together, Pepperdine Law School, and I saw the whole team you have. So you probably have a lot of people, not only in the U.S., but also, as you said, Taiwan and China. But it's a lot of human being management. How do you handle managing that many people?
Well, everybody is very capable, right? It's a lot of trust, of course, but the people who work in the immigration field, they love doing what they do. And so it's not so much managing them as opposed to empowering them, right? So I empower my staff and my team, and then they and we, I guess, empower all the other immigration practitioners all around the world. Because at the end of the day, we're making dreams come true, right? We're making something that's really, really important to people and making it happen to corporations as well. And so, dealing with a particular RFE, everybody brainstorms together, right? My staff, myself, the attorney, the client, and it's not like rocket science, right? It's a lot of it is just piecing things together. Communication is really important, and it's fun. And so usually when it's done right, everybody's very happy and there's a lot of success. And that's kind of what we're believing in. So now I'm glad you talked about this, because not every law firm or agency is a good fit with us, right? I have seen, obviously we've been doing this for a long time. A lot of agencies just want to pump out cases, right? They just want to give 5 documents. I want you to fill out the form and I want you to file it. And there's a low chance of success, but we just want you to do that because we charge the client a minimal fee, and our responsibility is just to file. Well, that's not really, our DNA, right? We like to do things as good as possible and have a high chance of success. So that's a much better fit for our firm. Now, obviously, if it's a really big case and it's like a one-off, this client just doesn't have anything, but we already signed it on and we already done our best, so it's just a filing service, then sure. But so we need to have the right DNA, the right type of clients, the right type of law firm, and us. And over the years, we found different law firms that share our DNA and share our belief, and they want to provide this type of service to their clients, but they have too many cases and there's no.
If someone was hearing this and they're interested in the service, they don't have a case right now, is this something where you can set up a quick chat with you to like plan ahead how it would happen once the case comes in that they're looking for? Or how do they reach out and connect just to initial setup if they have a case, or if they got an RFE and there's a time deadline because they got to fill you guys in too? Like, how does it work in both those kind of cases?
Yeah, so we jump on a call first and just kind of understand what their caseload is, how many things they need. We can really only take on a few of these like long-term, like year-long, 2-year-long contracts where people just reserve us, right? So a lot of firms, what they do is, I know this year we might have an overflow and we might need to send you 10, 45 cases that needs to be done within a month. We need to know that, and we need to have the capacity to be able to answer that call when it comes. So we can only have a few of those firms, or else if every single firm says, we want you to be available on standby at any given moment with like 10 crazy L1 RFEs, well, we might not. We're relatively small as well, right? Now, for most of the solo practitioners or smaller firms that is just a one-off, then we'll deal with it as it comes. You get an RFE, let's immediately jump on a call, let's strategize and let's plan it out. And then whether it's just a consultation session where we share our strategy, we share some of our checklists and show you how to do it, then you can go ahead and execute, and that's fine. Or you want us to take over for this case and it's just like a 1-month thing for one case, then if we have the capacity, then we could jump in and help, right?
And that speed is so important. So right now we're recording this in September 2021. The new visa bulletin came out, and it was not necessarily what we expected, the same jump we had in 2020, which was like for business-wise, for me, last October was one of the best months, because all of a sudden I got all these employment-based Indian Chinese cases that had been pending for a while. Hasn't come out yet, it seems, but who knows? With the way they run the visa bulletin, next month might happen. And then the visa bulletin jumps forward, and then next month retrogresses. So you really have to submit as soon as possible. You can't take the risk that the visa bulletin is going to stay consistent. So if you have a situation where you get 5 cases, 10 cases, and you're just not adept to handle that, but you got to file it so there's no malpractice, or just reality is you don't hurt this client because they've been waiting for so long. You just speed down. Hey, listen, I need some support. I got 2 extra I-45s that I just can't help myself. Could you jump online with me and help me through this? Is that the kind of thing?
Yes, that's definitely one type, right? Complicated RFEs, like a crazy case that needs to be filed within a short deadline. We do a lot of motion to reopens, and those are all you need to file within 30 days as well. So I just got a denial. It seems is extremely unfair. I don't even know how to talk to the client about it. I've never done a motion to reopen before, or I have, but I've never done with this case. Then let's jump on a call and let's prepare it and do it. And doing a motion to reopen is like a triple RFE, if you can imagine. It's just that much more pressure. So you have to do it, and so a lot of times when we do a motion to reopen, we're dedicating 3 or 4 people full time, 40 hours a week to do that one case. And in order to be able to sleep at night, right? Because the worst thing is doing a case and then knowing you could have done it better, knowing that if you just communicated with the client more in the beginning and strategized, you could have made it like twice as good, but you didn't for whatever reason. And then now you're filing it and you're just waiting for 6 months and you can't sleep for 6 months, right? Because your conscience won't let you. And so that's not worth it for the client or for yourself. But if you don't do it, it's almost malpractice, so motion to reopen is definitely a huge thing.
I will have to say that I'm guessing you guys don't do removal defense kind of stuff. It's all USCIS and Department of State stuff.
We don't do removal defense. We do very little U visa. We don't do deportation or asylum cases. So there is, some things that we don't do. We try to list out the most common things that we do, right? Motion to reopen. And even if it's like, we don't do an asylum case, but if there is a motion to reopen for the asylum, maybe we could do it, but we have to have a discussion. So we do spin-offs off of those type of cases. But we do definitely do a lot of L1s, the O's, EB1 through EB5, including EB4, all sorts of 360 cases. Yeah.
Now, because you have such a presence in China, how's consular processing going on? Are they handling cases or is it just immediate relative cases right now? Do they do employment based there?
Yeah, they do a lot of NIEs as well.
Oh, okay. Interesting. They've gotten better at it. Okay, because it was almost a complete shutdown. It was a mess. India right now is a disaster for people with H-1Bs can't even come here. But that's good to know. And I mean, that's a huge market right there. You having someone on the ground in China that could directly do stuff. And talk about the services you provide kind of directly in town right there, because obviously you can't do an E2 in China, but I think Taiwan has E2s. Is that correct?
That's
so
correct.
You don't even need to mail something there. You have a team there that could kind of deliver it locally.
Yeah, and I think I did a talk about this. The difference between an overseas law office and a law office in the US is that in an overseas law office, they deal a lot more with the consular processing part of it, and a lot of client support on face-to-face, training them and then taking them to the consulate and then going through that process. If there's administrative processing, everything got approved at USCIS level, the interview seemed to go great, but now there's administrative processing for 2 months, 3 months, double checking the parent company. Well, then there's additional legal support on the ground.
Taiwan has a high count. I mean, Japan's the biggest C2 country, but Taiwan's up there. A lot of investors, a lot of comeback for the US. I mean, that transistor market out there, it's so connected with the US. So there's all different types of E2s, even employee-based E2s, not necessarily an investor-based one, or it'll be a derivative, whatever that is. But it's good to know that kind of services are up there, because people are jumping into this game and sometimes they get a case, they want to do it, but they're not sure. But someone there to hold their hand is really a direct mentor. Someone, it's more than a mentor, is really there dedicated to help you. It's such a great service, because sometimes people don't have that. They're afraid to ask for it. Because I mean, the reality is when you go on one of these Facebook pages, for example, and you ask for guidance, people just give general guidance, but they're not putting themselves on the hook. They just give you stuff. But if they really connect with you, you're there with them. You're their partner. You're brothers in arms. So it's such a relief to have that, because I get people calling me all the time. They want this kind of service, and I'm just a solo. I'm bringing some people on, but I don't have time to do any of that, other than my course that I have for marriage cases. But that's a video course and office hours. But really, for like a RFE that scared the hell out of someone, you're the person to contact. So thanks so much for creating that service. It's fascinating that it's there, and I'm glad I've had the chance to let people know about it, because people yearn for this. It's something they really desperately want, but they just don't know it's there.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, they're also scared to bringing in. I'm sorry, let me do this part again. Yeah,
for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, for a lot of people, the choice is bringing in somebody who has 10 years, 15 years of immigration legal experience to be able to handle cases that they don't know how to do. But that's a huge cost, and it's really scary, right? A lot of solo or even a small firms, it's not like they have corporate clients that there's like a monthly income full of cases that they can consistently do. It's you, who knows what the next session is going to be like, or the political winds, right? So it's always that debate. But if you don't bring somebody on, then you don't know how to do it, and then every time you do it, you're trying, and then you're scared. So you never end up growing. So what we are providing is we kind of come in one time, we go through the entire process. You know how to do the EB2 now. You know all the different strategy. You sit in on the consultations on the strategy. You see all the checklists and the templates. You see the final filing. And you can do the next one if it's similar. And if you don't know, well, maybe the next time is just a consultation as opposed to a full-on service. And the thing is, we're not, the difference is not just, you're just referring a case to us, right? We're providing all of the service usually at around 30 to 40% discount of a normal rate. So you can still make a profit, or you could still at least not lose money on the case, right?
And it's an investment because you learn how to do a case all of a sudden. So that's like, it's a win-win for the future. Well, thank you so much. If people want to reach out, what's the best way for them to contact you to have the initial consult, see, how your services could be used for what they need?
Yeah, the email is on the article. It's info@Tsang's Law, TSANGSLAW.com.
TSANGS. There's an S at the end of the G.
That's right. Yeah. Or just reach out to our Yelp or Google.
Yeah, it's all there. Because your last name is Tsang with TSANG, but no, why is the S at the end of the email?
Because it's plural. I don't know. The web developer did it that way, and it's kind of confusing.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. And plus, talking about it, it's going to help people remember it too. So that's why that's just that in detail. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for coming. On a side note, how are things going? I know you were the AILA law student liaison on the national, both on here in Southern California, but also on national. Are you still co-chair, or you chair now? I think.
Yeah, I'm chair for 2021, going into 2022 as well. So for the past few years.
Oh, wonderful. And how's that going? Any activities popping up? I see in the listserv kind of stuff for AILA that there's more and more law student stuff popping up. I saw one they posted the other day about different services and stuff for students. Now it's free for students, which is incredible. If you want to be a law student, it's free.
Yeah, that was a huge victory we did in the past 3-4 years. Right? Before, law students have to pay to join, and law students are already strapped with money, and they also have so many things that they have to learn already. So we've been fighting for this, and we finally got it approved this year. And so now all the law students, if they're interested, it's automatically free, and it's like thousands of dollars worth of material that they get free access to.
I mean, they get free access to, what's that AILA system? That's like
AILA Link.
AILA Link. So if you get a law student, they get free AILA Link. So it's like a win-win, and it helps them find employment that way because there's an additional plus. So thank you for pushing for that. That's wonderful news.
Yeah, huge victory.
Wonderful. So just thanks so much. Stay on the line. We're going to leave right now. We'll talk a little bit, but do you have a separate name for your service, or is it just part of the Tsang law firm?
What we call this of counsel service. And in the past 20-30 years, we call it a back office, but I don't think back office sounds that great, right? So of counsel sounds a little more prestigious, but it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to build the brand on that too, so it stands out. But much appreciated for coming on the show. Stay on the line, but thanks everyone for listening.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.